Okay, well, this is actually a really good segue because speaking of getting destroyed, or threats of being destroyed for making the wrong decisions, next thing I want to talk about is what's happening with these news networks who have been, pushing the whole election fraud narrative. So,
Is this the return of responsible journalism, Zino?
No, it's the return of being afraid to lose your advertisers. So let's start with Fox Business News, right? So they've got Maria Bartiromo, sorry, and Lou Dobbs on there, and they've been like really pushing the stuff about Dominion.
I don't know how the hell Lou Dobbs. This was back when CNN, I felt, was less of kind of, because I kind of feel like now a lot of these cable networks, more than before, but more than like in the early 2000s, are about ratings versus actual news. This is back when CNN was kind of like trying to. This is back when remember when Anderson Cooper first came out, and he was like kind of like people. He was a darling because people were like, "Oh, this guy is like he's doing Katrina and like in the water with them," and then they loved him for that. It was kind of around that time. I can't believe Lou Dobbs was on that show, was on that network for so long. Same thing with Tucker Carlson, because I'm surprised that Tucker Carlson isn't involved in this retraction.
Yeah, not yet. But
not yet, yeah. So, but yeah, Lou Dobbs, man, I can't stand him. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Like, This is like, that's the kind of reaction that man elicits for me.
Yeah, so the thing I was saying is that, so Lou Dobbs and Maria Bartiromo, they've been really pushing the whole, Dominion voting systems coming from Hugo Chavez and Venezuela and all that stuff, and all these other conspiracy theories about how the election was stolen in Georgia, right? It wasn't. Georgia voted and Trump lost. So finally, Dominion, and I think, I can't remember the other one, starts with an S, but these voting system companies I think they've started talking about suing these networks for defamation. So both Maria Bartiromo and Lou Dobbs did like a lengthy segment in which they're showing a report where they're asking some guy about the likelihood of the systems being tampered with, and the guy's like, no, there's no likelihood, and it's like, saying that these are the numbers and blah blah blah, and everything is fair there because they're trying to save their own skin from being sued, which I still think they should get sued anyway, because the damage they've done is irreparable. I really do think it's irreparable. There's a lot of people who won't believe it now that they're doing a retraction. They're like, no, they've been paid off. Same thing with NewsMax, right? I didn't think I'd see this from NewsMax, but there's a guy in there that just straight up, like for 2 minutes, just basically was doing a retraction. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong here. There was no fraud, blah blah blah.
No, you showed me the clip. First of all, I have no idea who that guy is because I've never seen shit on Newsmax. I stay away from them the same way I stay away from Breitbart. Okay, yeah, I stay away from them just because I know they're full of shit. But yeah, I saw that where you were like, we said that's not true. And we also said turns out that that's not true. Just like I'm like.
It's one of the sweetest things to see an on-air retraction of like something you've been pushing for weeks and weeks. It's honestly though, it's not enough unless it gets sued, and unless they lose in court. Because if they don't get sued, what's going to happen is a year from now, there's going to be some new conspiracy that they want to push about the Biden administration or some other thing. And they'll be leaning into that lie. It's going to cause violence in the streets. Someone's going to sue them, and then they're going to do a retraction again, and they'll never get sued. So you gotta actually hit them where it hurts the most, and that's money and advertisers. One American News, to their credits or discredit, still haven't put a retraction out there, so they get sued as well. But yeah, it's good to see some come.
We can only hope, right?
Yeah, you can only hope. Speaking of election stuff, Trump is actively floating the idea uh, of sending troops to go seize the voting machines
Are you serious?
in swing states. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I have not heard this. I've heard
Michael,
of Texas suing us for some stupid ass reason.
yeah, and Michael Flynn went on. I think it was on One American, no, on Newsmax to talk about it, saying that people are hearing martial law and thinking like, oh, it's some crazy thing. We've done martial law before. What's the problem? Just I was like, what do you mean? What's the problem? Are you serious? Yeah. So then Mitt Romney said that it's crazy, crazy talk. Pat Robinson, Pat Robertson said Trump lives in a fantasy land, and he was actually being nice to him. He said that he doesn't believe that what he's saying is a lie. To him, it's the truth. And this is like super Republican Pat Robertson. So
that's when you're kind of getting to you're at the deep end when you start losing the evangelical vote, which is basically what Pat Robertson represents, is the evangelical vote. He represents the loony side of the.
Well, what some people are saying now is that Pat Robertson is like the old evangelical. He's not the current evangelical.
Oh, he's not the young hip one.
He's not all right. He's not the Paula Jones and the rest of them. I guess they might have a point that maybe Pat Robertson's of a bygone time, because honestly, I think most older Republicans are probably like, what the hell's going on? Reagan Republicans are probably like, what's going on? They're supposed to be the party of Reagan.
The thing with Reagan Republicans is, they might have been cool with the corruption, but they were also like, you still got to act like a gentleman with the corruption,
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
Some principle.
Yeah, exactly. They had some, yeah. It was a little bit wavy, the principles, right? But they did still have some type of. It's kind of like the difference between gangsters back in the day who were dressed up in suits and all that stuff versus ones that are just dressed up in baggy clothes. Like you still had a little bit of a different representation for certain reasons, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like they're just like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of them that are just not fans of the way Donald Trump behaves. It's just honestly, like, one of my friends asked me, like, so what's politics aside, is there a reason why you don't like Trump? I was like, yeah, he's just a vile human.
Yeah, I mean, if someone had asked me that about Mitt Romney, like, politics aside, is there a reason you don't like Mitt Romney? I probably couldn't think of anything. Same thing, politics aside, is there a reason why you don't like John McCain or Bush? Or
I would have said with Bush, I would have been like, well, I just think that he's greedy, and that's why he tried to flip a 9/11 situation to be able to create war to just get himself richer, right? Yeah. That's still, to me, that's a little bit. There's a little bit of morality there that I think was missing.
We've talked about that one before, and I think that's more the people around him than him. To be very honest, I think that's more of just holdovers from his father's administration. The Cheney.
Well, then that just means that he was a patsy and he let himself become.
So that's less of him being greedy and more of him just going with the flow.
Hey, but hey, if you're going with the flow, it still gets you like a couple of $100 million, like at the expense of human beings. Then, but that's, like I said, that's my thing. Like with him, right? There might be some, but with Mitt Romney, maybe on a personal level, I don't have an issue with him. John McCain. Yeah, I actually like John McCain on a personal level.
I don't have an issue with any of these politicians, but Trump, like, you can tell he's not a good person. He's just.
And the one thing about Donald Trump that he also has done that's disturbed me heavily is I have friends who are very intelligent, who are believing in a lot of this dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, you had no issues with the voting process for the longest time.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're like, there's something here amiss and blah, blah, blah.
This is the 58th election we've had. 58th. And all of a sudden, everything is like, it's now wrong. Because
I'm personally of the opinion of paper ballots. Okay, cool. Like, but if we're going to do paper ballots, I want to have a receipt for my votes.
Yeah. I mean, this one grifter comes along and goes and destroys 200 plus years of elections.
And not only that, but he's the target of every politician, states are going out of their way to
Republican-led states.
Republican-led states, and not only that, but we kept Mitch McConnell in Lindsey Graham. So you actually think that you're above being cooed against over those two corrupt individuals too? Because I think they're just as vile. Maybe Lindsey Graham not as much, but definitely Mitch McConnell. I think Mitch McConnell is vile. He's just one of those. He's like a very who's it? Who shot JR? What's his name? JR.
From Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just very tycoonish.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like tycoonish, and just he's out for himself only, which I think is part of a little bit is vile too. But it's just Donald Trump literally is epitomizing it.
Yeah. He's the worst. And Trump only is loyal to people as long as they're useful to him.
Exactly.
And we see that with Kemp. You know, we saw him attacking Kemp yesterday on his Facebook. We already saw it with Raffensperger. Kemp's family is getting threats, right? He goes out and he does this whole thing about, you know, his daughter's being threatened and he doesn't like that, yada yada. But in the same conference, he still defends the president. And then he goes to the White House Christmas party. He really did. This guy is.
What is it about some of these guys that make it where Trump is able to take their balls and put them in Melania's purse for them?
Right.
Like
Ted
same thing with Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dude literally insulted your wife.
Called her ugly.
Same thing with you know what? Even with Meghan McCain, right? Like or her lady balls, I guess. But even Meghan McCain, like she literally is defending a guy who insulted your dad. Like, yeah, like I said in one of our episodes, yeah, I might agree with you on the idea of what you want to do, but fuck you, I'm not gonna protect you. You talk crap about my dad.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Who everyone considers a war hero, but you said he's a coward or a loser for getting caught.
Well, we talked about Ted Cruz's wife. He said Ted Cruz's father was involved in JFK's murder. Like just random things, and they work.
I don't know. That might be true. I'm just joking.
Don't add to it with your facetious.
I will say, I do believe it was a conspiracy against JFK, but I'm not gonna say Cruz's dad was there. I just think there's a lot of shadiness around the JFK assassination.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think it was more government than a person at the a normal. I don't think it was a regular civilian that did it. I think it was.
You don't think it was just a civilian gripe by Lee Harvey
exactly.
Oswald? Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, but that's we will have a conspiracy episode with talk about UFOs like Larry King used to do back in the day. One day, but yeah,